Moving on from a movie that's filled with empathy and understanding, we go to 3 billboards outside of Ebbing, Missouri.
Finally.
Yes,
Finally I get to crap on something.
So, Mildred Hayes, why did you put up these billboards?
My daughter Angela was murdered 7 months ago. It seems to me the police department is too busy torturing black folks to solve actual crime.
Mike, I am going to go and watch this again. I have been completely bamboozled by the praise of this. I mean, it took the ensemble at the SAG Awards.
I agree.
It took the Best Picture at Golden Globe for drama. This is an allegory picture, and I think everybody who knows movies or goes in or read novels can understand that this small town is representing either America or something broader, you know what I'm saying? And it just didn't work because of the small town setting for me.
Yeah.
I didn't like the symbolism of using it smacked of a screenwriter putting a setting down and writing about nothing that he knows.
I think my natural tone is always to start from a peculiar place or a slightly odd perspective.
On a visceral level, like, it's satisfying to see. It was a movie that was just so cruel and judgmental.
Yes.
And it was a movie that was like...
You're hitting on all the keywords for me, too.
That was the thing, like, where Lady Bird was a movie that you understood people and they're three-dimensional. You know, this is a film that was definitely, like, written and directed by the guy who did Seven Psychopaths, by the guy who did In Bruges, by the guy who did Six Shooter, you know, by the guy who relishes and loves violence.
I'm sorry about Angela, but the town is dead set against these billboards.
You know who threw that can?
What can?
How about you, sweetheart?
No, I didn't really...
Go, girl.
Think of a movie that looks at a small town that she was also in, like Fargo. Sure, there's like some caricature elements of there, but there's still an element of complexity and love to those characters where they're not just as dumb as they seem, except for maybe William H. Macy's character.
Yeah, right now. You're darn tootin'.
Where in this one, it just relishes with someone who's not from the United States. You know, just saying, this is what's wrong with you guys, you know?
Because it's a good comparison, because there's a guy, the Coen brothers took life in a kind of middle class, working class city and created these desperations associated with it.
There's more to life than a little money, you know. Don't you know that?
But in this film, the desperations are so broad, right? A punchline. They're so broad that it doesn't resonate.
How much these billboards cost?
About the same as a tractor trailer.
Let her go.
Oh, I kind of needed to use the bathroom.
I didn't see it.
Oh. I think that's the best.
No, I mean,
I'm
like,
just kidding.
Well, here's the thing, and it's not fair to judge a movie by its trailer, but, you know, when the trailer came out and everyone's like, oh my God, this looks amazing, I watched the trailer and it's just, you know, pretty much Frances McDormand swearing at a whole bunch of people. I'm like,
and that's the movie.
Why am I this does not look pleasant.
I assume you can't say nothing defamatory and you can't say fuck, piss, or cunt. That right?
Or anus?
I did actually like it, though.
Good.
I did like the film because it is so unapologetically aggressive that there is an element to it that is very gratifying to see. Okay. So on that level, you know, if you like gritty sort of Tarantino films, this is Tarantino, just without the monologues.
All right,
that's a great selling point. I gotta check that out then.
Yeah.
We can move on.
Of the 3 billboards outside...
This doesn't put an end to shit, you fucking retard. This is just a fucking start. Why don't you put that on your Good Morning Missouri fucking wake-up broadcast, bitch?
Let's talk about Dunkirk.
Dunkirk.
Did you guys all see Dunkirk?
Yes,
Why did it get nominated for like best sound editing? I couldn't understand a fucking word anybody was saying in that whole picture.
My son's one of you lot. They've asked for the Moonstone, they'll have her.
I love the operatic nature of it.
Yeah.
That it had a soundtrack that was kind of flowing with the story, and it was like, you know, you're just kind of like drawn in, and the rhythm is happening. and it comes to this huge crescendo, and then he goes home, and life is supposed to be normal again, you know.
Yeah.
And so it was in my top 10.
Can't bear it. You read it. Can't bear it.
I'll talk about the pros and the cons. So the pros are, I haven't seen a war film that doesn't have to rely on grisly violence.
Yeah.
There you
That makes you feel the absolute tension and horror of being stuck in a situation.
Well, how
you can't
about when
escape from.
when the whole container fills with water in like a
Exactly.
second?
Yeah.
That's just like, what?
And
You
the
know?
camera's always just like constantly
Wait.
going. Nolan is a fucking master editor. He knows how to smoothly like transition between shots, which like movement on a cut to go to, and that works beautifully with that. When you intercut between each of these plot lines, they're done so seamlessly, and you mix that with Hans Zimmer's Shepherd tone, where the music's constantly having that wah, wah sort of effect to it. It makes you feel like you just can't get out of there. And then when it finally does fall through, it's sort of, you know, that's your big crescendo moment. And that it worked. I think it would have worked wonderfully as a short film instead of a feature film. But even so, even as a feature film, it's thrilling to see.
All right,
And,
you're in between here, brother.
But the cons are the characters are really flat, you know, and they're forgettable, and they're not like if you want to use stock characters, do something like you did with Saving Private Ryan. When that medic died, I remember seeing that with my grandmother, and she was bawling seeing that scene.
I want to go home. I want to go home. Mama, mama, mama.
Dunkirk came close to being, you know, one of my top films of the year, except for the kind of the rewatchability factor. I feel like I may never watch this movie again because I'm never going to, unless it comes to like the music box, just kind of a revival. I feel like this is something where you need to see it in a theater with surround sound, believe it or not, and just on the biggest screen possible and be immersed in it.
70-something% of the film is the full IMAX format because it is the most beautiful way to watch a movie. It's a treat if you can see it in that format.
Because the kind of still that's from this movie is, you know, the publicity material is the scene of the bridge where everyone's kind of crowded onto this bridge and they're looking up. And that's when they're about to be, they think they're going to be dive bombed by these planes, and it's horrifying. And that's what, that's one of the things that is so, the subjective terror of this movie is its strongest selling point. I don't know that that's going to be replicated, certainly not on my phone, but even on like my 42-inch TV or whatever.
Right.
Small, I got to get a new TV. But
it's such a sadness that you think you've seen a film on your fucking telephone. Get real.
yeah, you don't remember any of the characters. We're referring to people as Cillian Murphy or Tom Hardy. So I think that it speaks more to the fact that this is a movie that is about set pieces and tension and not so much characters.
Where's the bloody Air Force?
Now we're gonna move on to the posts.
Do you have the papers?
Not yet.
It surprised me. Okay, it surprised me for two reasons. Number one, Meryl Streep. When the preview came up, Tom Hanks, Meryl Streep playing vague characters. It's almost like an SCTV review. If I can go back, or you know, it seemed like a satire.
Yeah.
Directed by, who else could direct them but Steven Spielberg?
It has to be Spielberg.
Steven Spielberg.
Meryl Streep, Tom Hanks, Meryl Streep and Tom Hanks, Meryl, Tom Hanks,
Tom, and then Meryl.
And then Street blows you away by her characterization of Katharine Graham. The story is a procedural. Spielberg puts the accelerator on the story rather than the characters.
Yeah.
It's an ensemble cast. They deliver it beautifully. The only it wasn't in my top 10 or anything, but it did emerge as something that I really enjoyed because it was something of my era, number one, but also I thought that reporters, in retrospect, a little too heroic for my taste. But that's my 5 cents on that one.
It separated itself from most movies about journalism, which I really liked. You know,
Oh, cool.
the dynamic wasn't about the shock of the story. Oh my God, the priests are pedophiles.
We gotta nail these scumbags. We gotta show people that nobody can get away with this. Not a priest or a cardinal or a freaking pope.
Oh my God, you know.
Right.
The
What are you
president's-
referring to?
Yeah, the president broke into Watergate, which is so cool how they did the ending.
Yeah, very cool.
It
I
didn't-
think he used the same shot from All the President's Men.
He
I'm
did.
almost positive.
He did, yeah.
He did that cross the street shot.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it was so cool because it literally felt like the Batman Begins Joker ending of
Right.
journalism movie endings.
Right.
You know, and it was just,
it's true.
yeah, it was literally
And
that.
then watch All the President's Men. You got a great double feature.
Exactly. So many movies about journalism, you know, kind of like have a flat white because it's like paper color palette to it. But here you got Lucas, who's got Yamish Kaminsky's eyes, and they're always flying around the subject. There's that wonderful scene where the whole house is just filled with articles, you know, about the Vietnam War, and he got the little girl with the lemonade, which is a wonderful touch.
I mean, those were the things that really surprised me in a Spielbergian sense, or Spielbergo sense.
Listen, Senor Spielbergo, I want you to do for me what Spielberg did for Oscar Schindler.
He really went for something different, and he really applied himself in a different way, and created something that I think will last for, you know, I mean, people will be watching this a generation from now to get an indication of what people were thinking a generation after it happened.
Yeah.
So, you know, back and forth. Oh, shut up.
Yeah.
What are you going to do, Mrs. Graham?
You didn't see it, right?
Nope.